Bow, what's going on, guys? And today we are talking about how I went from this to this.
First shot.
In just a few months, completely free at home with dry fire training. So first, a couple of things I want to talk about is, of course, make sure that your gun is unloaded, ammo is in a different room. You always want to be super safe about dry firing. Both of my mags are completely empty. You don't want to accidentally shoot through your wall or shoot somebody that's in your home with you, one of your loved ones. So definitely always do a safety check. I know it sounds kind of like, you know, over talked about it, but it's definitely something you can't overdo. You have to always double and triple check. And then this is something that you can do every day. I'm gonna do a 15-minute dry fire routine, and I want to talk about a couple things I also do before that. That's not just dry firing, that definitely helps with it. But for the routine itself, of course, I just have my carry gun, or of course, whatever you want to train with. You can have your rig if you shoot competition. And then I have these little 1/3 and 1/6 scale size cutouts from Ben Stoeger Pro Shop right here. It has the dimensions, like for the 1/3 one, 3 foot would be the equivalent to 3 yards. For the 1/6 one, 3 foot would be the equivalent of 6 yards. So you can put these, I just have them up on the wall right in front of me in my living room. You can put these wherever, in your bedroom, garage, anywhere on the wall. They have steel poppers, actual targets. You can get however many you want to, and they make all kind of different sizes and whatnot. So I have these set up on the wall. I'm gonna tell you guys what I do before I start dry firing, and then we're gonna go through the quick 15-minute daily routine. So the first thing that I do, and I do this daily, I would recommend, you know, probably 3 times a week, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday or whatever, but I do this daily. And the first one is gonna be rice bucket. Do a rice bucket workout. Like I said, I do it every day. I don't think you can overdo it, because it helps build up really a lot of those secondary muscles that back your tendons. It helps prevent injury and heal injury. You get so much blood flow in your wrists, hands, forearms, elbows. It really helps prevent injuries. And this whole area right here, everything from your chest, shoulders, and arms is gonna help with controlling that recoil. You also get a little bit of grip strength from that, which is gonna turn us right to the next thing, grip strengthening. So I recommend doing this about 3 times a week. You can overdo it. Look it up, kind of do your own research. Don't take advice just from me, but definitely some type of grip strengthening will help a lot for controlling recoil. So the first one I want to talk about are these grip keepers. You can go to gripkeeper.com. I'll put his Instagram on the screen right here, and then I'll put a link to his website down below so you can go check these out. And so you can get these in any model, whatever gun you have, you can get it for that model. So this right here is a Glock Gen 5. You can get it for your model of gun, and then it really helps put pressure on these 3 fingers that you use to actually control the recoil, and you can, you know, kind of practice using your trigger finger. I got these a couple months ago, and now he makes the ones that actually do have a movable trigger in them, which is really cool. So definitely go get those to check out. I also got this 2011 one because I do shoot the Mac now. I got a 2011 one, a gold one, and this one actually is the half size or the full size one, and it does have the trigger with it, so you can kind of work on the trigger movement with it. It doesn't move, but it does have the trigger at least. So these definitely come in handy because it replicates more so of the pressures that you actually want to put on the gun whenever you're shooting. And then also, you can't go wrong with good old-fashioned grip keepers. I got this whole set online. I only got 2 right here, but I have more in the car. It came with 100, a 150, a 200, 250, and 300 in the set. It was like $20, $25 on Amazon. Of course, it came in a couple days, and these are what really will make the difference. Both sets, you know, the grip keepers and these will really what make a difference whenever it comes to shooting. Along with the rice bucket workout, you'll see that the dot or the iron sights start to move so much less after you've been doing these for a couple weeks. It's crazy how much your shooting can improve whenever you start doing this. This is the 250. I can't close this one. It's a little too stout for me, but I can get the 150 and 200 quite a few times. So kind of working my way up. And if you think about it, if you have 250 pounds of pressure whenever you're holding the gun, Of course, you're not using that. You'd be using, say, 180, 200 pounds, you know, that 80, 70, 80, 90% to hold the gun. That's a lot of weight and force helping keep that gun still. So I would definitely give it a try, and I promise you'll definitely see a difference. So that's enough talking about the stuff that is outside of dry fire that I do. But like I said, I do that daily to 3 times a week at least. So now that we got our guns cleared, this is just gonna be a little, like I said, 15-minute daily routine that you can do. First, I like to warm up with 2 to 3 minutes of very slow and controlled draws. So you want to get everything completely perfect with how you normally do it. There's no errors, there's no mistakes. You just want to do this for like 2 to 3 minutes to kind of warm up your draw so that your body kind of already has that muscle memory in of like a correct rep. It's easier to get into it whenever you've warmed up with these perfect draw strokes. The next one I like to do is gonna be drawing again for 3 minutes, but very fast, like as fast as you can to where you mess up. And the idea behind this is gonna be that whenever you mess up, you start to see what you're doing wrong and you can fix it. So whenever you're going as fast as you can, you might not have your support hand in the right position. You might pull the trigger too early. You find all kinds of mistakes that you would do under time, tension, and stress, and you can correct that in the dry fire practice. Another thing behind doing draws a whole bunch, if you're still struggling finding your dot or your iron sights aren't lined up as soon as you draw, then drawing might be the only thing you need to do in dry fire over and over and over again until you start getting that down. You want to be able to find your dot every single time, and that's what dry fire is good for. There's no point in going and shooting a live round if you can't even find your dot off the presentation of your draw. So 3 minutes of the super quick drawing finds out what you're messing up, you learn to correct it, and then I go back to just 1 minute of slow draws to correct everything that I just found out was wrong in the previous process. So now we are about halfway through our daily dry fire routine, and it doesn't seem like we've done much other than work on our draws so far. So what we're going to do now is start to work on our reloads. And so I like to practice 3 minutes on our reloads, and this is back to back to back to back. Having a timer is definitely something that you should get for dry fire, but I'm not using it in this video just because I know not everybody has a timer. So you should definitely invest in a timer, but if you don't have one, you don't need one yet. If you do have a timer, then set a par time for, you know, whatever you think your reload should be at. And then there's a couple different ways that you can do this. You can either do the full draw, shoot one, reload, shoot one, or you can start out presented with your finger on the trigger. As soon as the beep goes off, pull the trigger and then reload, and that's how you get a more definite reload time. Like if you set the par time to a second, as long as you have that mag in it before the beep goes off, then your reload was under a second, if that makes sense. So reloads, you can do them with the draw or without the draw. I prefer to get the most out of each rep, so I do mine with the draw, but you want to do that for another 3 minutes. All right, so now that we're 10 minutes into our dry fire routine, the next thing I like to work on is transitions. And so I do transitions for another 3 minutes. I know it doesn't seem like, you know, you're spending a whole lot of time on these, but if you want to turn this into a 30-minute session, then double everything. If you want to turn it into an hour session, then times everything by 4, or you can kind of add your own variations of stuff into this, or even go back and repeat the beginning steps. You know, I like to get 2 to 3 sessions of my slow draw and then my super quick draw each session, or 2 to 3 sets each session, just to really emphasize on that. And that's how I got my concealed carry draw so fast, consistently under a second. You know, I've got some crazy 0.6s out there, you know, just kind of throwing shots, but you can't get that fast without doing your dry fire, and you really can't do it as very safely without getting in your dry fire first anyways, because a lot of people, as soon as they're pulling out, might pull that trigger before they even come out, just because they're trying to be super fast and they haven't practiced it with dry fire. So this is a very important thing. For the next 3 minutes, what I like to do is transition. And so like I said, I have these targets up on the wall. You can pick things that you have around your house. Like I got a candle over here. I got some 50 BMG shell casings right here. A cigar box right here. You can do this with or without the draw again for 3 minutes. I kind of like to just go through and just look at everything. Just kind of get my dot to lead to everything. As soon as you see your dot, move to the next one. You can add in some trigger pulls. You can just go wherever you want to, go back and forth, but make sure your eyes lead to the next target. If I'm shooting at this target, the first thing that moves is my eyes, then my head and gun follow. Eyes first, then head and gun. And your everything will go where your eyes lead. Think about Ben Stoker used this reference. If you're using a mouse on a computer, you don't watch the mouse the whole time. You look where you want to point and then you drag the mouse to it. Kind of the same thing whenever you're doing your dry firing, and this will translate directly to shooting. So you want to look at something and then transition over to it. Look, transition over. That's the next 3 minutes will be transitioning. And then the last 2 to 3 minutes, I like to work on movement. So very simple things. It could be stepping forward and drawing. It could be stepping back and drawing. It can be moving left to right. You can also throw in reloads to this, but do some type of moving in your dry fire at least for a few minutes, just to help work on that non-static shooting. Because especially if you want to get into competition, or even if you're doing some self-defense stuff, you never just want to be static and shooting. You always want to get off the center line, or if you're doing competition, you're always going to have to be moving most of the time while you're shooting. If you want to really be competitive, you need to be moving while you're shooting. So work on some moving as you're drawing for your last 2 to 3 minutes. And that is my daily dry fire session. I hope that helped you guys out. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments below. If you want, I can kind of post links. YouTube's kind of against that stuff, so I can answer comments down below if you want to know where I got anything. But please comment, like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bow!